Banishing those self-limiting thoughts that hold us back as moms and prevent us from putting ourselves first and showing our kids that we need to prioritize our needs. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Julie. I'm an occupational therapist, a life coach, and a mom to two little ones. If you are new here, I would love to have you as a subscriber where we talk about some of the harder topics within motherhood. Don't forget to turn on the notifications by clicking the little bell icon. Alright, back to the video. Okay, so you know that feeling when you're in a job or you're in some kind of environment and everybody is just down and negative and complaining. It's kind of infectious. It kind of just spreads everywhere and everybody kind of brings you down with them. Well, I feel like motherhood and parenting is kind of the same thing. If you surround yourself by mom friends or parent friends that are just kind of depressed about their lives, not happy with how things are going, it just makes things 1,000 times worse. Being a parent is so hard as it is. Anyone can say that. It doesn't need to be touted up as being difficult. It's so hard. But if you have a negative mindset, it just makes it 1,000 times worse, 1,000,000 times worse. So I'm here to tell you that I think trying to see things with the glass half full versus the glass half empty is the way to go when it comes to parenting. So a motherhood mindset, well, what is that? I believe that the lens that you look through is kind of what determines your experience. And mindset applies to everything, but is so crucial when it comes to parenting. If you kind of go into motherhood expecting everything to be fine and no problems, I mean, you're in for a rude awakening. There's no doubt about it. It's hard. And that's going to determine your experience, where you're going to become despondent and negative and then start to see everything as kind of in a negative light. You begin to train your brain for the worst, which ultimately becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy, where you look for negative things, you see evidence of negative things, and then that confirms what you already think to be true, and it just determines your experience to be really poor. So I really felt this as evident in my experience when it came to sleep and babies being able to sleep. I kind of grew up with the idea that kids don't sleep. That was kind of the story that was told around me. And I started to look for evidence of that. And obviously, kids don't sleep all the time. Babies don't sleep all the time. So it's very easy to be right on that part experience. I could see how a negative mindset really determined the outcome. For me, sleeping and getting my children to sleep was a huge thing and a huge part of my identity in a way. I'd been surrounded by the kind of idea that babies don't sleep, and so I could easily find evidence of that, even though it's normal for babies not to sleep. That's not a negative thing, that's just normal. I think there's also an element of society where if your baby's not sleeping by 6 weeks or 12 weeks or 6 months or whatever coincides with often with the mom returning to work, you're considered a failure. And so that's not really failing, is it? A baby just naturally has to evolve at the rate that it's supposed to. Sleeping became an unhealthy part of my identity, almost to the point of me saying, "Hi, my name's Julie, my baby doesn't sleep. How you doing? What's your name again?" So once I began to recognize that I was just perpetuating this cycle of my children not sleeping, I began to frame it in a different way. Obviously there are difficult nights and it is totally normal that your kid's not going to sleep. That's not really what this is about. But viewing this as normal and not a personal attack on the way that I parent because my child wouldn't sleep really changed things for me, and I was able to focus on the small wins that we would have and the small breakthroughs that we would have with sleeping. So whether that would be your child sleeping in its crib for most of the night for the first time, or not needing you to hold them until they fell asleep. These can be really big success stories. I have done a baby nighttime routine that I will link in the description box, and I will link somewhere up here, I don't know where I developed a routine for my baby to help him go to sleep without too many tears. So if you're interested in watching that, go check that out. So another very common parenting mindset is that you don't have enough time. You don't have enough time for yourself, for your partner, for your kids, for any of your hobbies, all that kind of stuff, to work out, all the you know, all those things. And whilst this is true, I mean, your time is 100% being readjusted when you have a baby. It's not helpful to walk around saying that you have no time. And I did this for such a long time. I would list out all the things that I had to do, which provided me with an excuse to not do the things that I really wanted to do. So for example, having my own business, getting fit and healthy, cooking meals for my family. These are all things that I aspired to do, but I was able to kind of hide under the excuse of I have no time. And yes, that is objectively true. I'm busy, but so is everybody. And once I was able to kind of shift that, I realized that I could channel the I have no time excuse into, well, every time I thought that, I could actually do something to further whatever I wanted to achieve. And by scheduling my life, by kind of cutting out all the things that are not really necessary, like watching hours of mindless TV or whatever it is, I was able to kind of use the time that I did have to prioritize what I really wanted to do. So why am I so focused on mindset? Well, you know, your mindset really determines your world. It determines the lens that you see everything in. And now when you compound that with being a parent, you realize that your mindset directly influences the mindset of your kids and how they're going to grow up, their future self-talk essentially. And I think this is huge, and it's a massive responsibility as parents that we take care of our own mindset and really examine it, reflect on it, because our children are watching and listening, and they are going to take a page out of our book, and they're going to use that as kind of the blueprint for their own mindsets. So specific to parenting, if you're a parent, you will know this. If you become a parent, you will learn this. But being open-minded as a parent is a huge, important shift. We spend so much time reacting to things that happen, and with children, it's just so much of it is out of your control that it can so easily spiral into shouting and bribing and threatening. And you know, I'm sure we've all been there. I know I have done things that I'm not proud of, but I think once I took a step back and realized I needed to be open-minded, and that was the mind shift that I needed to have, it was just so much more relaxed. I could just really control the situation a lot better instead of just promising things that I didn't really want to do or threatening things that I didn't really want to say. And that really changed how I parented, so that we weren't screaming and shouting, and we weren't, I don't know, just being miserable all the time, because we kind of just had this mindset of, okay, little children do this kind of stuff, this is normal, this is not a personal thing towards us, they're not trying to deliberately manipulate or be naughty, you know, they're really responding to their big emotions. It's really more about them than about us, and this really changed how we parented. So with the mindset that children are still learning to communicate, their brains are still maturing, they're not able to process and kind of override feelings of hunger or fatigue or frustration in the same way that we are expected to as adults. And I would say some adults still don't know how to process some of those things. That just shifts how you view children, that they're not out to get you, and it's important to really see the situation for what it is and realize that this little person doesn't have the experience and the maturity that you do, and it's really up to you as the adult to keep your mindset in check so that you can respond in a loving, thoughtful, compassionate way, and model that to them so that they can cultivate that for themselves. So if you find yourself reflecting on your mindset and your approach to parenting, and you feel like it needs some tweaks, just understand that, like anything, it takes time to change a habit or a natural reaction, which is essentially a learned behavior. And you need to be kind to yourself when you're doing that. And that also shows your children how we nurture and cultivate something that means something to us over a period of time. It's not something that necessarily comes naturally, and that compassion, I think, will be transferred onto them as well. So likely you didn't grow up with perfect parents. I would love to meet someone that did. And you realize now that your mindset needs a bit of adjustment. I know for me, things that helped and things that continue to help, because by no means is this the end of the journey, but self-reflection, discussing this with my spouse, journaling, talking to other moms are things that can really just help you feel more supported and help you to nurture the mindset that you desire for your family. So something else that's really helped to cultivate my mindset are reading inspiring books, kind of virtually surrounding myself by inspiring people, podcasts, that kind of thing. I will link the books that I feel have really shaped the way that I parent. I'll link my favorite ones down below for you guys to check out, as well as any podcasts or any kind of web resources that I can find. I would say also that lastly, our children are our best teachers. You know, I am of the school of thought that the universe gives us the lessons or the opportunities to learn the lessons that we really need to learn, and children are definitely in on that because they will provide you with multiple opportunities to develop a skill and learn the same thing over and over again, because you know they're going to repeat some of these things and that's going to drive you bonkers. But I wonder if once you fully integrate the lesson into your life, if that kind of goes away, you know, where you move on to the next lesson to learn. And I feel like there's something to that. I'm also realizing that we create our own reality. I know this intellectually, but I'm believing it more and more. Our thoughts become our beliefs, and our beliefs become our lens and our mindset. And so you can use this to your advantage or your disadvantage. By attracting positive, loving, compassionate, healthy thoughts, you really set yourself up for a wonderfully rich life. And the opposite is true, where you invite negativity into your life and you just have a miserable time. So I would encourage you and challenge you to really look at the thoughts that you're having and evaluate whether these are healthy and serving you or whether these are hindering you.